we are live. NASCAR Cup Series practice is looming just seconds away from cars on the racetrack. Qualifying has been canceled for this afternoon due to weather, and the NASCAR Xfinity Series race, of course, is set to go now at 3 p.m. Eastern Time at the top of the next hour. Its original start time was 3:30. It has been moved up, and this is due to, again, rain that has been surrounding the Loudon, New Hampshire area pretty much all weekend. NASCAR Cup Series practice and Xfinity Series NASCAR Xfinity Series practice. The qualifying was supposed to take place yesterday afternoon. That got rained out, so no track time for them whatsoever. And again, qualifying rained out for the NASCAR Cup Series, but practice is still set to go on. Now, NASCAR has given the teams an extra 10 minutes of practice, although no groups, 30 minutes straight practice. Starting right now, in fact, as cars are on the racetrack, and that 30-minute time clock has begun. We got the raw feed up on the leaderboard right now. Not every car has gone out onto the racetrack at this time. Looks like there's maybe some potential drizzling, some raindrops. We'll let you listen in to the USA Network booth. You can watch visually for practice today on the USA Network. And USA Network also taking care of the NASCAR Xfinity and Cup Series race coverage as well.
And all sitting on pit road while there are a few cars out on track. And there's Ty Gibbs. Tyler Reddick's the fastest lap turn so far at 30.64 seconds.
You know, that's the other thing to consider. They're talking about all weekend. So, you know, this race may start with this exact same condition, with no rubber on the racetrack, a fresh racetrack, right after the rain. So this is a great opportunity to gain some experience.
Would shock me if the fastest lap of a run comes, front maybe lap 6 or 7. You got to start with such low air pressure. Sometimes it takes you a couple laps. Also, traffic is going to really determine how fast you're going to be able to go. Let's see right here in the point I give. And while this isn't maybe the best to get a read on the car, having traffic forces a young driver like Ty Gibbs to kind of change his lane like he will in the race to try to work through traffic.
Chastain, 30:07, fastest lap up to this point that has been turned. And multiple lines being run by virtually everyone out on the track now. And currently the only car that has not left pit road is Christopher Bell in the 20.
This is kind of the challenge of this racetrack, right? You see the 6 of Brad Keselowski in front of Chastain, and that's forcing Chastain to find a different way through these corners. This is a high entry, running really the second groove. A little bit of a diamond, trying to go for the low exits. Most of our goes to the top of the board, and that's 77. That's on his 3rd lap on the racetrack. Once again, I expect him still to pick up probably 3 or 4 more laps with opportunity to continue to pick up speed.
There's Mark Truex Jr. made his way out onto the track. Again, defending a race winner from a year ago. Little bit of precipitation on that camera on the top of the car.
21. You're right here, the challenge this racetrack presents. Mark Truex on the very bottom of the racetrack. That is the least amount of banking. But if you're going to pass, that's where you have to find a way to make work.
Shifting, Steve, another aspect of this racing.
Yeah, not only can you downshift to help increase engine RPM, it also will change the way the car balances. When you downshift, if you downshift, what type of RPM setting when you get back to the gas, all help the engine, but also help, the balance of the car. And here's the potential weather we talked about, so caution out for weather.
Oh, yeah. It's picking up.
Drops on the camera there. And I'm looking through the schedule or the list of drivers. It's looking like Bell did not complete a lap at speed. There's that radar. We talked about it being all around, but there are just light showers that continue to fall. And this to the point where NASCAR deemed it not safe for them to be out there. So red flag was thrown.
Feels like the race from a couple years ago. You got like 5-6 laps in, it rained, and then they had to push the rest to Monday.
Doesn't have Bell.
The 2021.
As far as able to complete, although he did leave.
Yeah, Steve mentioned it. Don't you see your driver and he's nowhere near the top on speed? Don't get concerned. There was a lot of traffic on racetrack. It's hard to lay a lap time down.
Well, this yellow, there's a little bit of former memories here that I think are making it very quick with the yellows in the range. This is all the way back in 2021, down in the turn one. You see the rain.
Yeah.
First two cars around. Denny Hamlin gets saved by not really making much contact with the wall right there. Kyle Busch very upset.
Then you couple that with the Daytona incident where everybody drove into turn one and it was raining down there. And the whole field, it seemed like it wrecked. Since that, NASCAR has been very quick to throw the caution, trying to prevent those things.
So they had gotten the track dry. Almost everyone was able to get out and get up to speed, but for only a few laps. The most completed were 7 laps, and then a little bit of precipitation came once again.
Well, they were still set to have about 23 minutes or so left of practice. Rain has come in once again after most of these drivers and teams have only made about 4 to 6 laps. 3 laps for Denny Hamlin, 6 for Carson Hocevar, who was the quickest in this practice session. But again, only a few laps were ran. A lot of traffic with everybody out on the track at once. Usually we would have group practice session where the field would be split in half and you go out for 20 minutes each group. NASCAR had planned to do one 30-minute session with qualifying getting washed out, but they wanted to give the teams practice for this weekend still. They tried. They got the track completely dried. If you're wondering, with the wet weather tires that they do have at the abundance for these teams this weekend, that is for the race only. Reason being is because for qualifying, the track would change drastically, so they can't use it for that, which most motorsport series don't. When there is no group qualifying, there is group qualifying in this essence, but not group qualifying where every driver is able to go out on the racetrack at the same time for qualifying. That is not the case with ovals, of course, in NASCAR and really oval racing in general. It'd be a single car, so because it would change quite drastically from one driver to the next, that will affect the times. Practice, they didn't use them because there's only X amount of sets for the teams for the race if we were to have to use the wet weather tires for tomorrow's race. So that is why we had to wait for the track to get completely dry to try to get practice and qualifying in. So this may end up being the shortest stream ever if practice gets washed. Teams are down on pit road. I don't think they've announced anything, at least at this moment, of canceling practice the rest of the way, but yeah, we'll see. So, yeah, with the NASCAR 07 stream last night, I actually forgot that it had scheduled it. I didn't think it had it scheduled at all because I didn't know what the weather was going to look like for New Hampshire this weekend. If the Xfinity Series race was going to get rained out later on top of this maybe getting rained out completely, and I wasn't going to stream at all. I was going to plan on doing it later tonight. I honestly didn't even know that I had moved it to Friday. So that stream was set to go, and I didn't even know about that until probably, I don't know, it was about 10, 11 o'clock this morning. So I had seen that it was like still up. It wasn't live, obviously, because I wasn't around, but yeah, it was still up. So I'm not sure why that was the case. So I apologize for the miscommunication there. But yeah, I didn't put anything in the community tab saying that I was going to stream, but for some reason I set the stream for Friday when it wasn't supposed to. So I didn't forget about you guys. I don't know how that happened, but sorry for the inconvenience.
The list. Top the scoring pile on, the 77 Carson Hocevar able to go out there and run a lap at 29.86. That was his third lap out there. He ran 6. But again, now back on pit road and out of the car. Kim?
I talked with his crew chief, Luke Lambert, earlier in the morning, and Luke was very concerned on whether or not they would get out on the racetrack because his driver has not even seen this place, let alone raced anything. And so he was telling me he didn't even care about qualifying. He just wanted to get practice in. But as we look, Carson only made 6 laps. The most any driver made was 7 laps. Is that even enough time to give a driver a sense of this place? And, it takes a number of laps to get heat in the tires. So, Steve, did they do more hurt than help being out there for that short amount of time?
Now, it depends on who you are. If I'm crew chief for Denny Hamlin or Martin Truex Jr., I'm not sure 6 laps helped me with anything. Probably just confused me. But, yeah, for Carson Hocevar, I think 6 laps could have some value. Not really to read the race car, but hey, here's New Hampshire. Here's what it looks like. So when we drop the green going into turn 1, you've at least got a glance at what it's going to be like.
Well, and the other thing, we don't really know all the strategies of the race team. If one of the things you could have considered is knowing that there is weather all over, maybe saying, all right, let's push some air pressure in these tires. Let's see how they're going to take off. Let's kind of give ourselves a test. If we had a late race restart, does this car make grip or not? There could have been a strategy play like that. I doubt that because the track's going to change so much with being rubbered up. But when you have teams, right? When you have Joe Gibbs Racing and you have a limited practice, maybe all the teams get together and say, all right, I'm gonna work on this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and then they get together after and come to a solution. So there's so much creativity.
All got back there in row 6. Austin Hinkle in row 7, Jesse Love in row 8. Those are cars with qualifying. I assume they would have been a little closer to the front.
Yeah, without any practice, a lot of drivers really with big questions. Look at row 12, Christopher Bell. He has been so good at this racetrack. Lots of wins in the Xfinity Series. Everyone will have their eye on him.
We're going to have some That's a pretty good record. I think excitement is going to happen right away as we continue to look through here. Alex Bowman is going to start dead last on the field, or basically on the last row, next to Carson Quapple, who has only run 3 starts, but is really impressed.
We did see Justin Bonsignore's name on there. He's a part of this list. He actually was on the racetrack earlier today and won in the modified, but he'll be making his first Xfinity Series start. As you mentioned, Alex Bowman will start at the back of this field.
And think about, for him, Bonsignore, that car is radically different than what he's drove, and never allowed. The only thing they got is they got enough practice to literally roll down pit road, go down the back straightaway, and come back in. And that is it. So he's going to drive into turn 1 on the very first lap with a completely different race car that he's driving. It is going to be fun to watch him adapt.
You just see kind of they rained hard enough, or it didn't seem to from up here to really wet the racetrack.
Well, since we're up here hanging out, let's Ryan Blaney's been nice enough to let us join in their conversation. So let's see what Ryan's doing. We got the guys up in the booth. You with us? We're gonna let them continue that conversation.
Yeah, we are. Right? Like I said, it was just get going there. No one really goes the way up there. Anything trending that way. Even.
Yeah, so there.
Yeah, so now that practice is over, I assume.
Well, there you have it. They have called it now. Practice is over after just a handful of laps on the racetrack. After a rain delay, qualifying was already washed out beforehand. NASCAR did want to see if they could get a practice session in. They actually extended it to 30 minutes instead of 20 for each group and have everybody out there at once. Everybody was able to make a lap except for Christopher Bell. He did get his car started, but didn't complete a lap before the caution for rain. Most laps we saw anybody run during the course of practice was about 6 or 7. So a couple drivers, 7 laps completed. Everybody pretty much ran 3 to 7 laps except for, again, Bell, who did not make a complete lap. So he's going to be listed last with nothing ran. Carson Hocevar, fastest in practice. I'm not even going to go through the practice order because I don't think it's really going to be indicated on how teams are going to run for tomorrow compared to most weeks when we have a typical practice session. Again, we only had 5-6 laps, and with it being a great racetrack, the times would have definitely gotten much quicker over the course of about a 10 to 20 lap run, and we just never were able to get that here today. So practice has now been completely canceled here for the remainder of the day, with the Xfinity Series start time getting moved up to 3 p.m. Eastern. Hopefully we don't lose the racetrack completely, and they can still get that race started on time. Our plan is to go live at 3 p.m. Eastern for the Xfinity race unless the race is not set to start at 3 p.m. Eastern because of more potential rain in the area, which there is rain in the area, obviously, with this practice session getting washed out for right now. So I know it takes about 60 to 75 minutes to dry the track, according to Bob Hodgkins on Twitter or X. So I had seen a post from that yesterday. He had put that out. So that was about the time that NASCAR gave for track drying process to go into place. We have not completely lost the racetrack yet, so they're trying to get the track dryers out there now, so that way we can still get this Xfinity race in on its scheduled time, or at least new scheduled time. If the race gets washed out, you can plan on there being a NASCAR 07 stream later tonight, but if it is delayed at the start, we won't go live until the race begins. So again, that Xfinity stream right now is set for 3 p.m. Eastern, but if the race does not start at 3, obviously, we will start the stream after the fact. Before we end this stream here, and we'll actually go through the qualifying, not qualifying, but I should say the starting lineup for tomorrow's race. They did not get qualifying in. Again, it was canceled. So based off the metric system is how we're going to go through this. So I'm not going to go through the practice order because, again, they only got 5 to 7 laps in for most of these teams, 3 to 7 laps for everybody but Bell. So in practice times, not going to be really indicated on how teams are going to run this weekend. Hocevar, though, did get to the top of the charts there. As far as the starting lineup for tomorrow's race, Chase Elliott will be on the pole. Again, this is based off the metric system. The three systems in this metric to set the full starting lineup for both for both the Xfinity and Cup Series races this weekend, because Xfinity also got washed out. It is going to be based off of where you finished last week, your fastest lap from last week, and where that ranks compared to other drivers, and where you are in owner's points. So Chase Elliott, again, on the pole. He is the points leader as well, so that definitely factors in, and he had a top 5 finish. Ryan Blaney will be starting in the second place position after winning at Iowa last week, so that will make up the front row. In row 2 will be William Byron and Christopher Bell, Alex Bowman, Joey Logano in row 3, row 4 for Martin Truex Jr. and Ross Chastain. Row number 5 will be Brad Keselowski and Josh Berry, and that will be your top 10 for tomorrow's race. Daniel Suarez, Tyler Reddick will be in row 6, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Denny Hamlin in row 7, row 8 for Chris Buescher, Todd Gilliland, Bubba Wallace, Ty Gibbs, row 9, row 10 will be Kyle Larson and Carson Hocevar. Noah Gragson and Austin Dillon will make up row 11, row 12 will be Chase Briscoe, Justin Haley, Michael McDowell, Corey LaJoie, row 13, Harrison Burton, and John Hunter Nemechek in row number 14 rather. Row 15 behind them will be Austin Cindric and Kyle Busch starting deep in the field. Ryan Preece and Eric Jones in row 16. Row 17 for Daniel Hemrick and Zane Smith. Row number 18 will be Kaz Grala, Ty Dillon. That will round out the field for tomorrow's race. And again, 36 drivers this weekend. No non-chartered entries for this week. They mentioned on the broadcast, I don't think it was during this live stream, but I was listening to their broadcast during the course of the rain delay, so I knew when to go live. And Steve Letarte mentioned that there were 38 cars this weekend. I don't know if he was talking about the Xfinity Series or not, but there's only 36 cars at the track this weekend for the Cup Series. So, again, no non-chartered entries for this week. But that's the starting lineup, and it wasn't even all practice. Again, only 3 to 7 laps for everybody but Christopher Bell. Bell had only gotten on the racetrack but didn't complete a lap under speed before practice has been called for rain. So rain delayed start, rain is completely washed out qualifying, and now the rest of practice. So again, only 5 to 7 minutes there. But Eastern, again, weather pending. If it is a delayed start, we will go live at the half-hour mark before the next start time, I guess, if you will. So if the race is delayed tomorrow, we will go live about a half hour before the next scheduled start time. But as of right now, scheduled for 2 p.m. Eastern. As far as the Xfinity race later, same procedure. 3 p.m. Eastern time, about 40 minutes from now, we'll go live for that, unless the rain delay happens. If NASCAR loses the racetrack, they can't get the race started at 3. then we will go live for the Xfinity race as soon as it starts. I'll keep you updated in the community tab and in the chat during the stream for both. Both those streams are up in public, so you can go there early. Be sure to hit the like button on the stream. It still helps me out a ton, even though this was a short one. And subscribe for more NASCAR content, live race commentary streams for NASCAR Cup, Xfinity Truck Series races, as well as Cup practice qualifying. Trucks are off this weekend at New Hampshire for the third consecutive week, so just Xfinity and Cup racing still to go. So, yeah, this hurts, as a NASCAR fan wanting to see cars on the racetrack. I'm sure it hurts for the fans in attendance. Getting 5 minutes of practice in, not ideal, but I think most of them there for the Xfinity race later. Hopefully that happens. If any races get moved to Monday, with weather in the area, both again later today for the Xfinity Series as well as the Cup Series tomorrow, then I will be available for live commentary Monday or Tuesday, whenever we end up getting the racing in. So again, weather was pretty iffy all weekend at New Hampshire. 3 of the last 4 years at New Hampshire, counting this year, weather impacting the race or qualifying, something of that nature. So definitely stinks for all the fans up there in the New Hampshire at 3 p.m. We will stream at some point today, whether it will be the Xfinity race or NASCAR 07. If the Xfinity race goes on, obviously it'll be the Xfinity race. If the Xfinity race gets moved to tomorrow or Monday, and we will go live later tonight for NASCAR 07. So I'll get a stream out to you guys at some point today. Just don't know exactly when. Again, I'll keep you updated in the chat for both of those streams set for the week. See you, everybody. Thanks for watching.